Have you ever felt it? That strange moment when time seems to slip through your fingers, when a second stretches into eternity, or an entire year disappears in a heartbeat. But what if I told you something unsettling, something most people never truly question? What if time was never real to begin with? Maybe the clock is just a tool. Maybe the calendar is just an agreement. And maybe the past, present, and future, the line you think you're moving along, is nothing more than a story your brain creates. What I'm about to show you may sound unbelievable, but modern physics, neuroscience, and consciousness research all point toward the same startling idea. Time is not what it appears to be. In fact, it might be an illusion. From Einstein's equations to the bizarre behavior of quantum particles, from brain experiments that show how your mind distorts time, to metaphysical events that seem to break the very notion of now, there is a trail of evidence leading us to one shocking truth. The universe may work nothing like we imagine. If time isn't real, then, did the past truly happen? Is the future really waiting? Or is everything, your life, your choices, your memories, existing all at once? This video will take you beyond clocks, beyond calendars, and deep into the architecture of perception. And by the end, you might realize something profound. It's not just the flow of time that's in question, it's the existence of time itself. If you're ready, let's begin. Because this journey goes far beyond the now. Time, is it humanity's greatest illusion, or its greatest invention? Or perhaps it's neither. Perhaps it's simply a tool created by the mind, a structure we mistake for reality. Today, we're going to dismantle one of the most fundamental concepts of human experience, the thing you believe you're holding at this very moment, the thing you call now. Because what if now never truly existed? What if the timeline you've trusted your entire life is nothing more than a stage your brain has built for you? Something that feels real only because your consciousness needs it to feel real. We believe in time because we feel it. Because we age, we remember, we expect. But the universe does not care about our feelings. The universe does not flow the way we experience flow. In fact, it may not flow at all. So take a deep breath. Because what you're about to hear may rewind every assumption you've ever made. Or perhaps rewind itself is meaningless. Because if there's no beginning and no end, if everything simply is, then what does rewind even mean? To understand this, we must confront the question directly. Does time truly exist? Or did we invent it? Maybe time is just a line we drew, like a child sketching on paper. Maybe we're inside something much larger, something that doesn't move, something that doesn't flow, something that simply exists. To uncover this, we must dive into physics, neuroscience, quantum mechanics, philosophy, and metaphysics, and find the hidden place where they all touch. Let's start with physics. Because physics does not care about emotions. It cares only about truth. And in physics, the man who hit time the hardest was Albert Einstein. His theory of relativity shattered the idea that time is universal and absolute. For thousands of years, humans believed time was unchanging, steady, reliable, the same for all. But it isn't. A clock on your wrist does not tick at the same speed everywhere. Place it on a mountaintop and it will tick faster. Take it deep underground and it will tick slower. Send it into space and it will tick differently again. This is not theory. This is measurable fact. Scientists took two atomic clocks. One stayed on Earth, the other flew around the world on a jet. When the jet returned, the clocks disagreed. Time had passed differently in two different places. What does this mean? If time were real in the way we imagine, absolute, fundamental, part of the fabric of existence, it would be the same for everyone, everywhere. But it isn't. Time speeds up when gravity weakens. Time slows down when gravity strengthens. As you approach the speed of light, time nearly comes to a halt. This alone is enough to crack the foundation of real time. A real thing shouldn't stretch and bend depending on conditions. If something changes from place to place, moment to moment, then perhaps it wasn't fundamental to begin with. Time bends. It warps. It stretches. It contracts. Does something truly real behave that way? Let's go deeper, into the quantum world. Quantum mechanics is the strange basement of reality, the place where classical ideas fall apart. And down here, something shocking happens. Time disappears. Most quantum equations do not include time. Particles do not move from past to future. They move from state to state. Even stranger, in some quantum experiments, the outcome of a measurement in the future affects the behavior of a particle in the past. Think about that for a moment. A future event changing a past event. We've always imagined the timeline as past, present, future. Simple, linear, straightforward. But if quantum experiments are correct, then the timeline might not be a line at all. It might be something layered, simultaneous, intertwined. So ask yourself, if even a tiny particle can feel the influence of the future, are you really moving forward through time? Or is your brain simply giving you the illusion of forward motion? Now let's look inside the brain, because here, time collapses even further. You think you experience the world in real time. You think you see things the moment they happen. Hear them. Feel them. But you don't. The brain processes everything with a built-in delay. What you call the present moment is already in the past by the time you become aware of it. The image you see right now is about 80 milliseconds old. Every sound, every touch, every perception is delayed, stitched together, packaged, and presented to you as a seamless now. The real world never reaches you directly. You live inside your brain's reconstruction of it. If the present is always delayed, do you ever truly touch real time? Or do you only touch your brain's best guess? This alone is enough to question everything. But neuroscience goes much further. Consider the oddball effect. Researchers placed a series of identical images in a sequence and inserted one unusual, surprising image. The brain perceived that odd image as lasting longer than it actually did. Time didn't slow down. But the brain processed more data, so it felt longer. Your perception of time is tied not to reality, but to the density of information in your mind. Then there's the famous Libet experiment. When participants decided to press a button, the brain showed activity 300 milliseconds before they consciously decided, meaning consciousness isn't in charge of time. Consciousness arrives late. It witnesses a timeline that has already been prepared. You are not organizing time. You are a spectator inside a process. What does that say about the now you think you live in? And what about danger? You've felt it before, that slow motion feeling during an accident or a frightening moment. Time doesn't actually slow down. Your brain simply records more details. The amygdala becomes hyperactive, capturing more information than usual. More information equals longer perceived duration. The external world doesn't change, but your internal world does. Time becomes elastic. If time were truly real, how could it stretch like this inside your mind? Now we turn to philosophy, because long before science existed, the greatest thinkers already suspected something about time. Immanuel Kant argued that time is not out there, it is a category of the mind, a structure the brain uses to organize experience. Plato described time as the moving image of eternity, meaning it is not a fundamental entity, but a reflection, a rhythm. But what is rhythm, if not perception? St. Augustine famously said, "What is time? If you don't ask me, I know. If you ask me, I don't." He realized something profound. The past no longer exists. The future does not yet exist. And the present cannot be measured. So what exactly are we talking about when we say time? If you cannot point to it, cannot hold it, cannot measure it, does it really exist? Or is it simply the mind's way of ordering chaos? Now let's glance into metaphysics, because the oldest spiritual traditions echo something uncanny. For thousands of years, mystics and meditators have claimed time is not linear. Time is not external. Time is not universal. They say everything happens at once. Every moment exists simultaneously. And the mind state determines how we experience now. Meditators describe moments where time dissolves, where minutes feel like seconds, or hours feel like a single breath. People who return from near-death experiences say, there was no time. Everything happened in one moment. I saw past, present, and future at the same time. Are these scientific proofs? No. But they show something critical. When consciousness changes, time changes, or disappears. If time were objectively real, why would it vanish the moment the brain's structure shifts? Now let's place everything on the table. Physics says, time is not absolute. Quantum mechanics says, time is unnecessary. Neuroscience says, time is delayed, distorted, constructed. Philosophy says, time is a structure of the mind. Metaphysics says, time is an inner experience, not an outer truth. 5 independent domains, 5 different methods, 5 different languages, all converging on the same conclusion. Time is not a fundamental part of reality. Time is a fundamental part of you. This idea is frightening. Because if time collapses, then everything built on time collapses with it. Memory, identity, expectation, regret, hope, fear, death. But at the same time, it is liberating. If time is an illusion, then the past does not define you. The future does not limit you, and waiting for the right time is meaningless. Because the right time is not coming. The right time does not exist. Only consciousness exists. Only perception exists. Only awareness exists. And once you realize this, you may see the greatest secret of all. You do not move through time. Time moves through you. Or perhaps more accurately, you are not inside time, because time is inside you. It is a construction, a lens, a narration. The universe may exist independently of you, but time does not. And maybe this is why reality feels so intimate, why your thoughts and emotions seem to shape the world around you. Because the very thing you use to measure change is produced inside your own mind. So now I ask you, if time isn't real, what does that make your life? Does your story have a beginning or an end? Or does it all exist, every moment, every choice, every version of you, already woven into the fabric of something beyond time? I cannot answer that for you. Only you can. But I can tell you this, if time isn't real, you are far more free than you ever imagined. Time has been questioned, stretched, shattered, and peeled open. But now, as we reach the final stage of this journey, something deeper emerges, something more intimate than physics, more mysterious than quantum mechanics, and more ancient than philosophy. Because when you remove time, you don't just remove a measurement. You remove the architecture you use to understand yourself. You remove the before that defines your story, and the after that shapes your expectations. And what remains is something raw, pure, and strangely familiar, a consciousness that has always been here, watching, witnessing, and weaving meaning into experience. But if time is not real, then what exactly are we? That is the heart of this closing chapter. We will walk together through the deepest corridors of mind, reality, and existence, not as scientists or philosophers, but as beings suddenly freed from the illusion that once held their entire universe together. If the brain creates time, who creates you? If the brain generates the sense of a now, if it reconstructs the past each time you recall it, if it delays the present by milliseconds before you're aware of it, then your identity is not what you think it is. You are not a fixed point traveling through time. You are the ongoing interpretation of a consciousness that updates itself constantly. Every memory you recall changes. Every recollection rewrites the past. The past exists only as you remember it, and each remembering edits the story. This means the past is not fixed. It's not preserved. It's not stable. It is something you reinvent each time you touch it. And if the past isn't real in the way you believe, how real is the person you think you've become? Your identity is not anchored in time. It is anchored in attention. In the way your consciousness chooses to illuminate certain experiences and release others. You are not the product of your past. You are the author of your present interpretation of it. And that changes everything. A universe without flow, the block universe. There is a theory in physics, one that challenges almost every instinct we have, the block universe. In this view, nothing flows. Nothing moves from past to future. There is no river of time. Instead, the entire universe, past, present, future, exists all at once. Imagine a book. All pages exist simultaneously. They do not appear or disappear depending on which page you're reading. You simply illuminate one page at a time. Your consciousness is the flashlight. The universe is the book. What you call now is simply the page your awareness happens to be shining on. But all other pages, your childhood, your future, your regrets, your unrealized potential, all of them are still there. You just aren't looking at them. This idea can feel unsettling, even suffocating, or it can feel profound and liberating. Because if all moments already exist, then nothing is lost. Nothing is gone. Nothing is waiting. Everything is. You are not traveling through time. You are traveling through experiences. And those experiences may already be woven into an eternal structure. You are reading the book of your existence, but the book is already complete. A metaphysical interpretation. Consciousness beyond time. For thousands of years, mystical and spiritual traditions have echoed a single idea: consciousness is outside of time. Time arises within consciousness, not the other way around. Meditators describe moments where minutes disappear. Trance states compress hours into seconds. Dreams unfold entire lifetimes in a few breaths. Near-death experiences reveal moments where everything, every memory, every emotion, every possibility, appears simultaneously. People say, there was no past. There was no future. It all happened at once. I was outside of time. Science cannot yet explain these states, but they carry a message. Time depends on a functioning brain. When brain activity shifts, time dissolves. But consciousness, the awareness itself, seems to persist. If time disappears when the brain changes, but consciousness remains, then maybe consciousness doesn't belong to time at all. Maybe it simply uses time as a tool to navigate physical existence. And when the tool is no longer needed, the deeper part of you emerges, the part untouched by age, memory, or duration. Maybe this deeper part is who you truly are. If time isn't real, is free will real? This question cannot be avoided. If the future already exists, if the brain decides before conscious awareness, if the timeline is not linear, then what does that say about choice? In the lie bed experiment, brain activity precedes conscious decision-making. This doesn't kill free will, but it forces us to redefine it. Maybe free will is not choosing inside time. Maybe free will is choosing outside of it. Maybe consciousness selects a direction and the brain implements it milliseconds later. The choice is made in a timeless domain, and the timeline simply arranges itself around that choice. This explains why some decisions feel inevitable, why certain moments feel fated, why some events feel as though they were already waiting for you. Perhaps fate is not a predetermined script, but an alignment between consciousness and possibility. Free will does not vanish when time disappears. It just moves elsewhere, to a deeper layer of being, a layer that does not depend on seconds or minutes. If time isn't real, what is death? Death is the boundary we fear most, the moment we believe everything stops. But if time is not real, if beginnings and endings are illusions, then death is not an end. Death is a transition between states of consciousness. In a timeless universe, the idea of before and after has no meaning. Birth is not the beginning of you. Death is not the end of you. These are simply transitions between forms of awareness. Near-death accounts describe a dissolving of time, a merging of all experiences, a clarity beyond the brain. If there is no time, then you cannot stop existing. You can only shift existence. Shift perspective. Shift awareness. Death becomes a doorway, not a wall. And what stands on the other side might be the part of you that has always been timeless. If time isn't real, what is the meaning of life? When time collapses, life does not lose meaning. It gains meaning, because you are not defined by your past. You are not limited by your future. You are not trapped in a linear narrative. You are not a passenger on a timeline you cannot control. You are a consciousness exploring possibility, a being weaving experience into understanding, a spark of awareness illuminating fragments of a larger reality. Life is not a journey from point A to point B. Life is the act of perceiving, the act of choosing, the act of experiencing. Meaning does not come from moving through time. Meaning comes from how you meet each moment, even if all moments exist at once. You are not a traveler. You are an interpreter, a witness, a creator. The final question: if we are not in time, where are we? This question is the heart of everything. The place where science, philosophy, and metaphysics converge. We are not inside time. Time is inside us. We are not inside the universe. The universe is inside our perception. We do not move from moment to moment. We shift the focus of consciousness from one frame of awareness to another. Time is not the river. Consciousness is. Time is the shadow. Consciousness is the light. And if consciousness is the light, if awareness is the source, then reality is not something we pass through. Reality is something we illuminate. We are not temporal creatures. We are luminous beings momentarily dreaming of time. And perhaps that is the greatest secret. You were never meant to fit inside time. You were meant to transcend it. The Lumineth closing. So now I leave you with one final question. A question only you can answer. If time isn't real, how real do you want to be? If this journey awakened something in you, if it made you think, wonder, question, or feel, then join me. Subscribe to Lumineth. Like this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. Because this channel grows with you. It deepens with you. And it shines with you. Illuminate your mind. Question everything. And continue the journey with Lumineth.